Hello, my dear students. Today we'll discuss function rectangular coordinate systems. So today we'll discuss understanding how to locate and work with points in a plane. Okay, so let's start our class. Okay, first of all, here's the introduction and definition. The rectangular coordinate systems, also called the Cartesian coordinate systems, and is a fundamental tool in mathematics for locating points in a plane. Okay, so there's some key points. X-axis is horizontal and y-axis is a vertical, and origin O, the intersections point where both axes meet with coordinates 0 0 or O. Like if we make a coordinate here and here's the intersection point, this is the O, or 0 comma 0 or O comma O, right? Then this system allows us to describe the position of any point using an ordered pair xy, which we call coordinates. So as you can see here, here's a two figure, and yeah, here is a two figure. Here is a four coordinates, and mainly there is four coordinates. The two axes divide the plane into four regions called quadrants. They are numbered and counterclockwise starting from the upper right. Okay, it's the first one is a quadrant 1. There is a quadrant 1, and there's a quadrant 2, and there is a quadrant 3, and there is 4. Okay, yeah. So what we have to understand here, here's a positive. That means is a value of x is greater than 0. That means all value of x will be the positive. That means there is a x axis. This is the x axis. Okay, and this is the y axis. Okay, and here y axis in this part is a positive part for y axis, and this is the negative part for y axis, and this is the positive part for x axis, and this is the negative part for the x axis. And as you can see here, yeah, so we can write here is a positive for x and positive for y, and here is a negative for x and positive for y. Okay, and here we can write also there is negative for x and negative for y, and these coordinates, it's a negative for y and positive for x. Okay, yeah. So what is the important points here? The points laying on the axis on x-axis or y-axis do not belong to any quadrant. Coordinate of a point, any point P in the plane can be represented by an ordered pair xy. Okay, x coordinate is a horizontal distance from the y-axis is a positive if to the right of y-axis, and negative is the if to the left of y-axis, and 0 if one on the y-axis, right? Okay, y coordinate, vertical distance from the x-axis, yeah, and positive if above the x-axis, and negative if below the x-axis, and 0 if on the y-axis, as you can see here. Yeah, and how to find coordinates: draw a perpendicular from the point to the x-axis and write coordinate, and draw a perpendicular from the point of the y-axis, write y coordinate, and write as xy. Right, if it is a yeah, this is the x, and this is the y. Okay, yeah, and we know this side for x is a positive, and this side for y is also positive. So first coordinates, all value of first coordinate will be the positive, and here is the for the x axis will be the negative, and for the y positive. That means here's a value of x always will be negative and y always will be positive. And here also value for x will be minus and value for y will be minus. That means here's all value will be negative. And here is also for x-axis is positive and for y will be the negative. Yeah. So let's move our next slide. Here's a distance from a point to the axis. Distance is x-axis is a y, and distance to y-axis is equals to x. Okay, distance to the origin is a for point p of pxy. Distance to origin it's o, it's a o comma o or 0 comma 0 is a op. It will be the x square plus y square. Yeah, as you can see here, like if we draw again a yeah, like if we make a point here, it will be the x and suppose y. Yeah, and here's the our intersection point, it's o. That means, and if we yeah, there is, that means it will be the o, this is the point p, and it will be the and o distance o from p, it will be the root over x square plus y square. Okay, as you can see here. And distance between 2 points, it's a 2 points like pq, and if we like pq, like if you take a point here, it's a q point. Okay, and if we want to measure the distance p from q, it will be the this one. Here's also here's x1 and here's y1, here's x2, and here is y2. Yeah, and it will be the root over x square minus x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. And this formula comes from the Pythagorean theorem. An example, find the distance from point minus a is a minus 3 4 to the origin. Yeah, to the origin, and solution is a 5. Okay. Yeah, so let's move our next slide. It is symmetry of points is about x-axis is x minus x comma minus y, and y-axis minus x y, and about origin minus x minus y, and about line y is equals to x, it will it is y comma x. Yeah, as you can see here, here is a point a, is a 1 2. Okay, 1 2. So these are the 1 2, cause of here is a value of x is 1 and value of y is 2. That means x value is a positive value. So we know here this side for x is positive and this sides for y is also positive. That means here's a x value for x is 1 here, so here's a 1 square, and 2 for y, yeah, this one. That means this is the point a. Okay, and here's a 1 minus 2, 1 minus 2, 1 minus 2, so 1 also here, and for minus 2 is the value of y. Okay, here is the minus 2, 1 and 2. Yeah, this is the B, right? And here is another point, it's a minus 1 2, minus 1 2, minus 1 is a value for x, it's a minus 1. Yeah, here's a minus 1 and 2 is a positive value, and this is the point. Okay, right? Yeah, this is the C. And here is again is a D, minus 1 minus 2 for the minus 1 and minus 2, minus 1 here and minus 2 here. Okay, this is the D. Okay, and here's another point, E, 2 1. Okay, 2 for value, for x value is a 2 here and 1. Yeah, this is the final point, E. I think you understand. You understood this topic. Okay, here's another example, minus 3 4. So we have to find out the minus 3 4. Yeah, minus 3 4, minus 3. Yeah, 1 2 3. This is the value of x and this is the value of y. So minus 3, 1 2, yeah, 3 3 and 4, 1 2 3 4. Yeah, here. Okay, minus 3 4. So special points and common mistakes. Special case is the origin O, it's a 0 comma 0. On x axis is a x comma y, x comma O, and on y axis is a 0 comma y. The common students mistakes, it's a very important notes. Okay, confusing quadrant order. Remember, always remember, counterclockwise from top right, and mixing up signs for coordinates in each quadrant, forgetting that distance to axis use absolute value. Okay, and misapplying distance formula, straight coordinates in the same order, and when finding symmetric point about y is equals to x, swap x and y but keep signs. Okay, so you should remember for your exam this, you can't mistakes. Yeah, here's a summary of a key takeaways. Yeah, it's a coordinate systems, two two perpendicular axis x and y, and intersecting at the origin O comma O, and quadrants, four regions with distinct sign patterns. It's a absolute value for plus plus and minus plus, minus minus, and four quadrant is plus minus. Okay, and coordinates, ordered pair, xy describes the horizontal and vertical positions. So here's a distance to origin, a distance to origin, that means, yeah, this is the origin, right? And here is a point, okay, xy. And now if you want to measure the distance from the origin, so we have to use this formula. Okay, and distance between 2 points, suppose here is a point and here is a point, and if we want to measure the distance from these 2 points, we have to use this formula. Okay, and here's a practice question 1 for you. In which quadrant is the point minus 5 7 located? So let's solve which quadrant it will be. Okay, yeah, minus 5 7. First of all, we know this is the x and this is the y, right? And x prime and y prime. Here is a point 5 7. Okay, minus 5 7. So we know this is the first quadrant is a x positive and also y positive, and this is the second quadrant, this is the second, this is the first, this is the second quadrant, and here's a value of x, it's minus, and Here's a y is positive, and this is the third quadrant. Here's a value x is minus and y also minus, and this is the fourth and last quadrant, and here is x positive and y negative. So here's the 2 points, -5 and 7. This is the negative value, -5. That means -5 and 7. That means here's a 2 sign, minus and plus, minus and plus. Yeah, this is the second quadrant. It will be the answer, the second quadrant, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, here's a practice question 2. What are the coordinates of a point that lies on the x-axis is 6 units to the left of the origin? Okay, from origin, x-axis and is 6 units to the left, yeah, left to the origin. As you can see, it's a practice problem, practice question 2. What are the coordinates of a point that lies on the x-axis and is 6 units to the left of the origin? Okay, so here, what will be the answers? 6 minus 6, 0, right? Yeah, this was cause of left side. This is the left, so -6, that means the negative value, yeah, -6, so it will be the answer. Okay, and it is a practice question 3. And what is the distance from point A68 to the origin? Yeah, 68, distance 68. That means they ask us, here is a point P or A, sorry, it will be the A, yeah, it will be the A, and this point is 6 and 8. This one is X, and this one is Y, this one is Y prime, this one is X prime, and this one is origin, which is 0, 0. Okay, and they ask us this, what is the distance? Okay, so as we know, from the origin, formula is a OA is equal root over x square minus y square. So what will be the answer? Is the value of x is 6 and value of y is 8. That means 6 square minus 8 square. Okay, root over, sorry. Yeah, so what will be the answer? I think answer will be the 10. Yeah. And next, let's move to our next slide. Practice question is 4. The point 4 minus 3 is reflected over the x-axis. What are the coordinates of the new point? Okay. 4 minus 3 is reflected over the x-axis. And what are the coordinates? Here's the key point, is reflected over the x-axis. Which one? 4 minus 3. Okay, reflected one, x-axis. That means if we draw, here is a x, and here is the point 4 minus 3, 4 minus 3. Okay, here is a negative value, positive is 4, x value, and minus 3. Here's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and minus 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so yeah, here is the point 4 minus 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. 3. what will be the reflected is here's a 4 positive and positive 3. Okay, yeah, so 1 2 3, that means there is the answer, that means is B. Okay, next let's move our next slide. It's a practice question 5. Point P is the third quadrant and is 5 units from the y-axis and 12 units from the x-axis. What are the coordinates? Okay, so they just said which direction this they just said third quadrant P is the third quadrant. Okay, third quadrant. This is the first, this is the second, this is the third, and this is the fourth. And as we know, here's all value positive, here's all value is a negative positive, and here's all value is negative, and here's all value is a positive negative. Okay, so they say it is third quadrant 5, third quadrant 5. Okay, that means here's okay 5, that means it will be negative, and from the y-axis and 12 units from the x-axis. Okay, 12 unit from the x-axis. Okay, 12 unit from the x-axis here. Okay, here is also it will be minus 12, that means answer is minus 5 minus 12. Okay, and here's the answer key, answer to practice questions. All the answers are here, and yeah, I think our answers will be correct. It's answer B, and we solve the number 1 is answer B. Okay, and we solve the answer 2 is the A, and question 3 is a B 10, and practice question 4 is a B 4 3, and 5 is B also minus 5 12. Let's check. Yeah, it's correct. Yeah, it's also correct. Yeah, it's also correct. Yeah, it's also correct. Okay. Okay, great job practicing. Remember to always visualize on the coordinates plane when solving the problems. Okay.